Hello. How's everybody doing? Dave here with Affordable Door and Gate. Man, I'm doing good. Feeling great. Healthy. I'm alive. It's great to be on planet Earth with all this wonderful technology. Just love it. Anywho, so hopefully audio's good. Let me know if you jump in here. Give me a thumbs up or give me a number one. Hit number one to let me know audio's good. So, Mr. John reached out to me. John, like every one of you, Zach, Colton, I appreciate the email. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but John's basically explaining that he does construction, it sounds like, but not the garage doors, construction. And he's looking to get into the garage door business, but he's kind of been hitting a brick wall. And I know it can be frustrating. I really do. I know I wanted to tell you some stories. So just to put things in perspective. So, he also mentions on here about doing attending a mount, or was it I'm thinking attending a mount on-site training in Maryland to get certified, which I've never heard of that. If you guys have, please comment below or email me, because I don't know anything about this one in Maryland. I never heard of it. So I don't know if it's any good. I'd like to know if it's any good, and I'd like feedback. So that way I can kind of recommend it or not recommend it. Also take the IDA test when I complete the class. So here's something just for the old memory bank. Nothing too severe. Is Mr. Rich B. He's always in the house. Love it. And so here's the thing. When it comes to garage doors, it took me a solid year. I'm not afraid to admit it. It took me a solid year just to get my head wrapped around garage doors. I mean, that was just me. I worked with another guy. I was doing it full time. And I mean, the way the springs work, even to this day, the way torsion springs work seems kind of silly. I mean, the left hand's on the right side and it's backwards, and the cables, the spring's got to be pointing a certain way when you wind it, but it seems like it would be going the wrong way because the cone would pop off, but yet it doesn't. It works kind of like a Chinese finger trap. And so it took me just a year just to get my head like, oh, I understand the concept. I understand that the cables pull the door up on the drums and the spring is what does the work. So it takes time, but I was thinking about it and I thought, how do I kind of explain this? And I thought, the way I look at it, just my opinion only, and I'm not that smart, I'm going to tell you that. I was thinking about it and I said, it's kind of like driver's training. You got the written portion, right? Which you can do the written portion and be a rock star. But then you got the driving portion. And the driving portion is like probably the best experience that you're ever going to get, is the most important, and it's going to be always evolving, right? The written test is just the written test. It's always, this is black and white. Here's the paper. Here's, A, B, and C is the correct answer or whatever, right? It's always going to be like that. But out in the real world, holy cow, man, somebody tried to knock me off the road. Holy cow, the wind coming off a semi-truck is insane. Wow, we're experiencing slippery roads. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to, I understand. It's kind of like when I thought when I was young. I still am young. What are you talking about? But, when I was thinking about it, it's kind of like when you do, it's just life. It really is. You gotta just go out there and do it. You know what I mean? And it took me 5 years to where I felt actually comfortable with garage doors, that I felt like I kind of knew what I was doing. So like if a door was crooked or coming off the track, I could walk in there and I could be like, yeah, I got this. I know what to do. And anything beyond that was like a big bonus. You know what I mean? Like where now it's like I walk in there and I can just I can kind of go in with my eyes closed, right? And you know, I can kind of sniff it and I go, oh yeah, I can smell those rollers are grinding, you know, the motor, the capacitor shot. And that's not to brag. It's just, but it's experience, right? It's kind of like, what do they always used to say? I thought I heard this theory once, you know, not that you should ever drink and drive, but a seasoned drunk is better than a young drunk. You know what I mean? Because they've done it numerous of times. They evaded the police, and this is not condoning, this is horrible. This is probably not even the best. But it's just that people on the road that have driven on icy roads are going to probably be better than the first young kid that comes in. But what I want to tell you is what you can do, and I would not be afraid to do this. You know, I look at this stuff and I think about how, including myself, I was simple-minded. Don't be afraid. There's a lot of good people in the garage door community. A lot of good people. It's funny in the garage door, and I think this is a lot of other businesses too. You know, it's like we're competition, but yet we're all kind of family. You know what I mean? Like we're all just trying to make a living and put food on the table. And so what I might do is I might hook up with somebody that's got something maybe on the weekend or during the week. If you run a business, it sounds like you might be able to, you know, finagle your schedule a little bit. But it's like if somebody was to approach this place, affordable, and they were like, hey, this is what I'm trying to achieve, and this is what I'm trying to do to learn. You know, I would look at it like, well, you know, I want to make a friend. I want to teach you. And if you could potentially also help, you're more than welcome. And you might go in there with the attitude of just going, hey, I'm not looking to get paid. I'm looking, you know, to get experience. See, the more you build on yourself, the more you'll attract in life, you know. And I've seen it so many times in this business. You know, like I said, there's the core fundamentals of stuff, you know, being honest, showing up on time, not lying, telling the truth, don't steal, don't cheat, you know, just some core fundamentals. And that's all it takes. As long as you show up, it's amazing what can change. So you might want to go into some places and just say, hey, I want to wrap my head, and don't feel bad if you don't get it right away. Because like I said, I was doing it full time with my partner, my business partner. And every time it was like, but he put me on the simple stuff, right? He put me on like, here, put the hinges on. Number ones, start with number ones. And I honestly believe if you could find some friends or family that would let you, they got a garage door and you're like, hey, let me jump in there and let me do it. Let me do it with you. Or you give me a hand if it's kind of big or whatever. And it might take you a weekend. You know, a lot of it sometimes is really having the right tools. Like when they first came out with the 7/16 Magnabits, ooh, man, revolutionary. So sometimes it's just getting the right tools to do the job and do it faster and do it more efficient and understanding what you're doing. But I wanted to jump back on here again and just kind of explain that I don't think none of this is bad. Everything I always went to, I learned nuggets. So if you really want to go out there, but so here's like something to think about. I got my CDL license, right? And I remember years ago when I was young, I thought, and it's weird how this kind of, I'll go into this in a minute. Don't let me forget. Tell me about the truck driver. And so anyways, I got my CDL, right? I spent basically $5,000. $5,000. It was a huge chunk of money. Huge for me back then. I mean, we're talking back in 04. I don't know. It was years ago. And to spend $5,000, it blows my mind. It's probably 10,000 now. I don't know. But anyways, I spent the money, right? And I go into this place and I start driving this truck. And I tell you what, driving a semi truck is nothing like driving a car. It's just not even, not, I'm thinking, oh, you're going to be sitting in a truck and you're going to be drinking your pop and you're going to be having a jolly old time. Heck no. I mean, there's stuff you got to go through, constructions, and the cones are just rubbing on the tires, and you're at an intersection and the instructor's telling you, go, go. And you're like, what? There's a car come. They'll stop. Don't worry about them. They'll stop. Take up the whole lane. Jeez. Okay. I mean, the truck's rocking, doing all these weird things. But I learned from it, right? I learned. But looking at it, I don't know if I would have done it again. I mean, I look at it and I spent the money, and it's tough because when I got done, I remember there was like these like bloodsuckers there, right? They're like, you want to sign up with JB Hunt or how about us? We're Warner. We'll treat you. We'll give you this, a sign-on pad. There's just all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So I want you to understand that what I'd like to see, let them have you go through the course, and you pay when you're done. And if you're not satisfied, you don't have to pay. But they're not going to do that. See, that's not how it works. They're going to collect your money. You're going to go through the course. There's no refund, right? They might give you a little something, a scratch off ticket at the end or something, or a book. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's not bad. It's good it's good to learn and be around like-minded people and see things and experience. It's just, I don't want you to have the expectation that you do this and you like, oh man, well, I'm still not, I'm still broke. I'm still not making no money. I'm still, because a lot of it always comes down to, I still look at the business and I go, a lot of it's just going out there. It's really going out there, putting the signs out by the streets, hanging flyers, putting out, making the business cards. It's a lot of work. You got to print them, and you don't see no reward. You know what I mean? You print the business cards, but if you ain't got nobody really handing them out to, you're not seeing the reward. You know what I mean? It's a lot of agonizing things, but then it's a snowball effect. And you start, all of a sudden it just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger until you just go, oh my gosh, what was I doing? I'm insane. No, it's not. It can be good. So, just like I said, I've gone to the IDA shows and stuff like that. And it's cool to see, I remember Haas was one that I was kind of disappointed. I thought Haas used to have metal retainers. And I'm in there and I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking I want to sign up with this, be a vendor of Haas stores. And I remember they were like, oh no, we got plastic. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I don't remember you guys having plastic retainers in the bottom, the rubber that slides in, not the bottom, but the retainer. And I thought you had aluminum. And I'm like, dang. I'm like, well, that's a bummer. Kind of turned me off because, one thing I always liked about Haas is I liked that they riveted their flags on the track. So if you were doing basically like a new install or something, or a door jam that was perfect, they were pretty nice. You know what I mean? You were just like, bam, you slap them up, put your screws in, zip, 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 and you went to town. So just something to think about. But like I said, took me a year just to understand the concept. Took me 5 years just to feel like I could go in and actually do something. You know what I mean? Where I felt comfortable. I felt like confident in what was going on. So I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to keep trying. You know what I mean? And I look at this stuff, like I said, go out there and do it for free. I thought about doing it for you guys. I was like, I'm going to post a Facebook thing. I'm going to do one for free. You know what I mean? And show you, because I know I get the old nephew and stuff, and he's kind of like, well, what do you do? What, just put something out there. Just put something out there. It's like fishing. Do you guys like fishing? It's like fishing. You got to throw, the line out and let the bobber sit. But if you don't ever do that, you'll definitely never catch a fish. So you just got to throw it out there. You might catch a big fish. You might catch a small fish. You might not catch nothing else. The little booger might take your worm, So sometimes you just go out there. Don't be afraid. I see a lot of things with America. I love America, but we got some flaws, and we're not being taught. We're not being taught to be salespeople. We're not being taught to go out there and shake people's hands and look them in the eyes and be honest and take care of the fellow man or fellow woman. You know what I mean? Just it goes such a long ways, because you have to realize that everything you're doing in this life, you're attracting things, right? Maybe good or bad, right? You want to put a teardrop tattoo, you might not attract what you like. You know what I mean? But you clean up, you shave, you shake people's hands, you're honest. You know, maybe you take a bath once a week so you don't smell hideous and everybody's like, oh, you're on that guy. You know, you're not wearing flip-flops to a job interview. Had that happen. Had sweatpants. And I remember I had this guy, we're going to this customer, a good customer. And I remember this guy shows up, man. He's got sweatpants on. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like, what? He's like, what's the problem? You can't wear sweatpants, dude. It's like, go in there. I had a pair of pants in the shop. You know, I was like, go get some pants on. I was like, you know, that guy stiffed me too. I remember that. He stiffed me on a couple jobs. But these are things that you get to learn and experience, or you can just learn from me and don't make those bad choices. I was inquiring about a business, and it's funny because I was thinking about it. And it's just weird how when you get more seasoned into things, you know, what is that? Sky overhead? Cheers. And you know, I was looking at this business, and you know, I started thinking about it. I was thinking, I think this guy's got to travel. I think he has to travel. And so I was looking up his demographics, the population, and I was like, he's only got 9,000 people for population from the census. And I thought that's not, nope, that's not enough. You know what I mean? For traveling. Because I thought you got to go out so much farther. So I was looking up for where we're located in Muskegon. We got 37,000. I thought, oh yeah, that's much better. I like that. Our demographic is way closer. You know what I mean? We don't have to travel. And I still see it so many times these guys are, I didn't realize how big that travel was. The travel can just eat you alive. But I always tell you guys that enough. But with being certified, I don't know if you guys are thinking maybe that if you get this certification, it's like a badge of honor. And even to this day, it's changed a lot. I mean, when I used to start on like Google and stuff like that, it was like, put whatever you want. We might send you a card in the mail. Now it's like we want a location. We want you to put the key. I think they want you to put the key in the door with your name on the door of the vehicle, turning it. We want a picture of your road sign. I was like, holy crap, man, have things changed. And I don't know, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's definitely they're tightening down, I can tell. But that still shouldn't deter you, because you have so many options out there. You still have, you know, like, I still can't believe with Facebook, I can't believe they let that go wild. I just cannot believe you Americans can still sell things on there for free. They need to start taxing. I know they're doing Venmo and stuff like that and Cash App, but I still can't believe they don't have something when you're clicked to sell something or buy something, they don't go, something pops up in your face, goes, sorry, you need to file this out before we can even let you look at this. It's probably coming. But what I'm getting at is, with the opportunity right now, it's there. And you can take it. It's free. So don't be afraid. You know what I mean? And just remember, like I said, you know, this is what I always told myself. You know, college isn't free. You know, if you go to college and spend years in this place, you know, you get popped out, right? And it doesn't guarantee you got a great job. Doesn't guarantee a job where your hometown is. You might have to travel. You might have to leave the state to go get a perfect job for what you got your degree in or something like that. So what's stopping you from just going out and possibly working with somebody? Or what's stopping you from, you know, doing a family or a friend, or drive by and knock on somebody's door, you know what I mean? And just say, hey, I see you need a garage door, you know, and just let them know. Say, you know, I'm starting out. I would love, you know, maybe you're doing it for donations. You do it for donations. Maybe just tell them, I'm learning, you know, I'm not going to leave you hanging. you know, and if you got a little bit of money in the pocket, hey, back it up a little bit too. Say, hey, look, if I can't do it right or whatever, I'm going to hire this guy to do it the rest of the way. You know what I mean? But there's so many videos. I just can't believe that on YouTube University, you can't find a video how to install a garage door where you can't watch 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 and go, I think I know what I'm doing. You know, I've been watching, I got one of the rentals, you know, I thought about doing a metal roof, and I think I'm going to do it. I have no clue what I'm doing with metal roofs. No clue. But I know I can do it, and I can probably do a better job than most people because I'm going to take pride in it. And you know, it's weird when you're contracted. Like I noticed this like installing my own garage doors, right? When I install my own garage doors, I like fiddle with them. I'm like, no, that's not perfectly. That hinge is just a little crooked. I don't like that. You know what I mean? That track is just, I fiddle with it. But if it's a customer, it's like, beep, 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 and you just go, baby. You just go. It's good enough. Fine. They won't even know. They're just happy the door goes up and down. Well, that's probably like a roof. You know what I mean? They're just going to kind of come through. But I also thought, you know, it's going to save money. It's also something I've always wanted to do. You know, I wanted to do a standing seam without the fasteners roof. And you know what I've been doing at night? I just randomly will click on some videos that show these guys, and I'm taking nuggets, little nuggets from these guys. Oh, I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, you got to put the sheets down. You don't put them upside down, silly. I got this. I got this. And you just take little nuggets. Right now, I'm learning how you square it off, right? So you make it square. So hopefully it doesn't look all crooked by the time you're done, or how you put your sheets on. So all this knowledge is it's there. I don't think, and the thing is you have the choice to, you know, click on it, not click on it. And you get the choice to kind of engage or not engage. You know what I mean? Go into it, go out. So I just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid out there. And like I said, when it comes to the certify, look, I'm kind of a blue collar type of guy, you know, hands on. I've pretty much taught most of my guys from scratch. And it was just by just getting them out there. Go. Call me if you got a problem. And that's that under pressure. Like I said, I never did electrical on garage doors. That wasn't me. That was a business partner. And when the economy went poo-poo and things, we had to go separate ways for a little while just to survive. It was like, guess who was there? Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave was there being an electrician. And it was nuts. Like, I was like, I have no idea. I mean, like, you think about it now, right? It's low voltage photo eyes. And I was just like, if I cross these wrong, it's going to go poof in my face. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Participation trophy. Who's this? Bat Rivet? Is that it? Did I say that right? I could have been saying that wrong. Hello. So if you guys got any questions, feel free to jump in here or tell me what you're seeing out there. You know, you guys ready for this next cycle of elections coming, or if we even have an election, if we're not already at the WAR, you know what I mean? It's kind of nuts out there, isn't it? It's crazy. I'm still seeing a lot of things though. That's the indications out there are not good. It's not looking. I'm seeing it everywhere. We had our first snowfall. Actually wiped us out pretty good over here, and we got hit hard in Muskegon. I mean, a lot of power outages, a lot. And I went to the tire shop, and it was like the day after, so things got cleaned up. The roads were drivable again. And I'm like, told the tire guy, I said, where the heck's all the customers? And he's like, I said, not that busy, are you? No. He says, we've been kind of steady, but not real busy. And I said, that's really weird, because I didn't work there very long, but I used to work at Discount Tire. And man, I tell you what, when you got the first snowfall, it was like cars just, I mean, the parking lot was slammed full. And people in there, I need tires. And you're looking at you bring their car in, you're like, you needed tires a year ago. What are you talking about? I need tires. I need them now. Oh my gosh, the roads are horrible, you know? Oh, 4 inches. I think we were up to. It's kind of how we had either. It was 10, I think, by the weather. It was 12 by my stepdad's ruler. North Carolina. Oh, North Carolina. I'm up in Muskegon, Michigan. Yeah, North Carolina. I got a buddy that's supposed to be going down there, and he's a good dude. He's I don't know. He's a good dude, but I don't really know him that well. But he's trying to he's like, can you help run my business while I'm gone? And I'm like, dude, I got a million things in the fire of my own. So I'm actually supposed to meet with him sometime, have dinner. But good dude, good dude. He said North Carolina is pretty nice. I told him, I said, I'd like to get down there and check it out. I've never been in North Carolina or South Carolina, and been to Florida, but I'd like to see. I hear it's kind of a good like retirement area, and I'm anywhere. I'm game for anywhere. It's like I can deal with the cold, but I hate the snow. Man, do not like snow. Snow was good for Christmas, but after that, I'm out. So yeah, no, we got slammed no with that. We were the weather lady was like, what did she say? The weather was showing like 4 inches we were supposed to get, and all of a sudden, I can't do it because we're a live stream, but I got a picture of the little one, Miss E. She was hanging out the window of the van. She's doing a keypad. I was doing some on-site training with her. I was like, here, I gave her their instructions. I was like, here, figure out this keypad, and she's sitting there programming it, and I got her in the passenger seat. It was pretty cool. It was definitely a proud dad moment. You know what I mean? Like it's just fun. I love teaching. I love teaching. That's what I live for nowadays. I love teaching the next generation because, like I said, I didn't have nobody. I didn't have nobody to teach me. You know what I mean? I didn't have nobody to fall back on. So I had to go into all this stuff just like School of Hard Knocks, and it sucked. You know what I mean? Because it's like shooting a gun and it's blowing back, and you're like, oh, what? You jam it again, and it like blows back in, and you're just like, son of a biscuit. Like, what the heck is going on? And eventually it's like burning your face, and you're just like, oh, I got to keep going. I got to keep shooting these ducks because I got to keep eating. It's amazing. Oh yeah, Mr. Rich, we lake effect. Yeah, we get lake effect, and lake effect is like the worst because lake effect is like that feeling I always get where I'm like, it'll be snowing like the banshees, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and we're the only ones getting it. Where I like it to be like everybody else's have to feel it. You know what I mean? Like the rest of you suckers got to feel it too. Like when you get a big snowstorm, it's like the secretary and stuff, right? They get to all feel it. You know what I mean? And so it kind of like takes that mystery away, where it's like if they're going, I don't understand why you guys can only do 2 service calls today. I mean, normally you guys can do 5, and it's like, are you serious? Have you been over here? We got 2 feet of snow. I mean, we're snowmobiling down the road right now trying to get to these customers. So yeah, we can't make it. You know what I mean? Where you got to prioritize it. The weather, in this business can play such an effect on you, which is kind of a bummer about this business. It's amazing. Lake effect, yeah. That's where I install. Yeah, nice, Mr. Mark. That's cool. Yeah, it's that's one thing I've always, like I said, I think I'm gonna make a calendar sometime. It's like I'm gonna make a calendar that shows, at least for us like northern people, with the snow, that it shows like what you experience. Because like right now, we had Halloween, and Halloween is like, in my mind, is like basically you are closing the books on anything outside related. Gates, you better be like in the middle of a fence job or anything like that, because right now it's touch and go. And I always tell myself, when rifle season comes around, could be 70 degrees, could be in a t-shirt, it could be 20 degrees and you're in a full snowmobile suit. So right now you're playing with fire. So my theory is, right now you need to wrap up all the outside jobs, and you need to have some backup plans for some inside jobs. Because like when we got hit with that snowstorm, I mean, those were like 2 good days. And like today, heck, today I got shorts on right now. It's 60 degrees out. It's wonderful. But when you get those snow days, it's like you gotta be like, hey, you know how we're gonna get you those new springs on that commercial door, or we're gonna do. Now here's the thing too, something to think about. Do preventative maintenance. One of our big competition around here does preventative maintenance, and preventative maintenance is like a very easy floater because you can just fill it in. You know what I mean? And be like, well, today we're gonna go do PMs, and you make peanuts, but you're still making something at least, and you're providing a good service, and you're also checking for stuff that's broke. So you could no door installs on. Yeah, dude, those windy days, man. I hear you. Yeah, I've. What was the hardest I found was a lot of times you guys might be too young. I'm joking, but the shiplap doors instead of tongue and groove. I hate shiplap doors. I had so many shiplap doors that like you'd stack them and they wouldn't sit right or they'd fall in. I mean, like shiplap doors, even like a 16 by 7 was like you had to do it with 2 people. It was like you need 2 people to do this because by the time you stack it and you're trying to hold it and you get a gun ready, unless you got like a gun holster and you got your screws, it's like the darn door is always slipping off. You know what I mean? Like, and if it slips off, like the one door I had, which was a brown door, of course, it's like it gets scratched and it's like the primer they use underneath is like white. And it's like who in their right mind would do this? And it's like a big nice white scratch now, and you're like, I didn't bring no brown touch-up paint. I'm always installing white doors. I don't install brown doors. And, I don't know, brown touch-up paint. It's like, oh my gosh. Another thing too, I should mention this. I was thinking about with these rural areas, and I don't get a lot of feedback on it. And I'd love for somebody to email me, or even you could comment. But, I could be wrong with this. But I feel I've kind of seen it 2 different ways a little bit. I've seen in the rural areas that a lot of times it's almost like, how do I say this? Like hillbillies will fix the stuff. I've seen a farmer one time. I remember he welded a extension spring like 3 different times. And I'm like, dude, what's up with this? And he goes, oh, god darn thing kept breaking, so I kept welding it. And I'm like, well, it's gonna break. And he's like, well, nobody's ever told me that. He goes, I figured it's kind of like a car spring. Car springs don't hardly, ever break. And I'm like, that's kind of a good point. But I'm like, these ones do. And then you replace them. But I was replacing the whole door, so it didn't matter. But I've seen where these guys, like, in the rules, it's like they got more time on their hands and they'll fix things or they'll let things, go longer. That's just my opinion because it's like almost like you don't have to keep up with the Joneses, if that seems right. Like, I think these subdivisions and stuff like that, they build like suspension, right? You know what I mean? Because, as you're driving and you're like, oh, we got a new garage door. It makes mine look kind of like crap, man. It's kind of like that whole, you ever hear like the tallest house? Like when they build a house, you always build it a few more inches taller than the neighbors. Kind of one of those things. Yeah, I hate the sub-zero temps. That's why, well, you said it right there too, Rich, is if, what's nice for us is we got quite a few commercial. And we got preventative maintenance PMs with them, and it's a great filler. You know what I mean? So like if there's a day that's just like miserable, send them down the road, and they can stay in a heated building, go around, oil the doors, look for cables that are frayed or anything like that. It's a really nice option, and you might charge them by the hour or per door type of thing, and you're at least making a little bit of cash flow. You know what I mean? You're not making, you ain't gonna go buy a brand new truck with it, but you're making enough to kind of cover payroll, and you're doing a good thing for the customer, and you're catching things that might, the worst thing about this business sometimes is like if you don't do the preventative maintenance, you're the guy at 5 o'clock on a Friday that's down there that's like, oh my gosh, the door's crooked, the cable broke, the spring blew off its cones, because the spring, everything detonated, these 6-inch springs, and now you're like, crap. And especially for like us, we do like a lot of road commissions and stuff like that. And now you're like, great. And they're like, oh, we got a big winter storm coming this weekend. And you're like, that's awesome. Like, this door is not going to work. So now you're down to that one door that's really old, that hardly ever works right. God, I hope that door doesn't fail on me this weekend. So I get called in and I got to, you know what I mean? So it's like you're trying to prevent that, preventative maintenance. And so it's a really nice thing. But, in the business, sometimes we still have this problem. I can see it. I can sense it. Sometimes you got to slow down. I mean, it's amazing to me as the older I've gotten into this business that I've noticed how do I say it? You start to realize how long it takes to do actually a good job. And with a good job, that's, getting the door there safely, not damaged, with dents and stuff in it, to installing the door, you know what I mean, with no accidents or something falls on a car or just whatever, you know what I mean? You ding a car out in the driveway with your own vehicle or stuff. I remember, I'll tell you a story. I don't think I ever said this one before. We always have this thing through Michigan here a little bit. Just my opinion. I'm not saying it's true or not. I don't know. But it's like when you go down south, people get really rude. And so I remember, here's the thing. Here's the thing. My business partner's going down there, right? I've worked with this guy for many years. I know him in and out. He knows his crap. And he goes down and he's working for this customer. And I remember him calling me and explaining what was kind of going on. But this lady, right, he installs this garage door opener. Now, this is how this stuff can get really deep. This is like the late night special you're getting right here. And I remember he goes down there. So now this was through Lowe's. We've already been down there and did a detail. He's the one that did the detail, which is basically down the measure and make sure everything's going to fit, blah, blah, blah. So he's down there. So now he's installing it. He goes to install the opener. Opener doesn't work. He plugs it in. Oh, no power at the outlet. So he ends up running an extension cord over to the house to get the limit set, right? So that way when they restore power, the opener works, right? That's the beauty of when we used to have like mechanical limits and you just knew the darn thing would never lose its memory or get screwy, like it'd always stay off an inch. Oh, those were the days. So he ended up, he plugs that thing in and that lady sees him, right? The lady comes out and she's like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, well, I got to plug in, I'm plugging my extension cord in. He says to get your opener working. And she's like, oh, hell no. She's like, and he's like, I don't understand what the problem is. She says, no, you're going to make my outlet. He goes, ma'am, he goes, every outlet in your garage is dead. He goes, none of your outlets work at all. Well, it ain't my fault. You're going to fix that. And he goes, I'm not going to fix it. He goes, I'm not an electrician. Oh, she just comes unglued, right? She's just yipping in high heaven and blah, 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 blah. So he finishes the install because he's like, well, what else am I supposed to do? I might as well get the limit set, the doors installed. Like I'm on my way. Now he's calling me, explaining all this stuff, right? He's to make me aware of it. And probably like a couple days go by, maybe one day even, I don't know. I get a phone call, and I get a phone call actually from the manager of like Lowe's. I mean, like this is like a district manager saying like the one at the store. This is like a district. I could tell just by the voice, this guy was kind of like business. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, hey, you Dave, blah, blah, yep. And he goes, here's the problem. And I'm thinking, I don't understand how there can be a problem. But he says, you guys went down there and you did a detail. And I'm like, yes. And he goes, on your paperwork, on your detail checklist, it says on there, is there an outlet within 3 feet? And he says, you checked that, right? And I said, yes. He goes, this is where the problem is. She's having an issue with power. And I explained the situation with my business partner. And I told him, I said, here's the thing. I said, I can see you're having problems with this customer. And he goes, well, here's the thing, Dave. He goes, we strive for 100% customer satisfaction. And she's ticked. And he says, you went down there to do a detail and there was an outlet. And I said, you're right with that. I said, there is. I said, but on that detail, It does not specifically say, is the outlet energized? I said, you assume the outlet is energized when you walk into a house or a garage. I said, it asked if there was an outlet within 3 feet. There was. I said, doesn't ask if it's energized. And I said, look, I understand you're having problems with this customer. I said, we will gladly, which I was going to be the guy that went down there because I didn't want to have any flack. I wanted it to be fresh. I wanted it to be not my business partner. I didn't know if he was, going to retaliate in some way or what. I have to handle this situation. And so I said, I will gladly go down there and I will politely take down her stuff. If that, oh no, he says that's not it. He says, what we're gonna do is we're gonna end up sending an electrician over there to fix it. And I'm like, you're gonna do what? You're gonna send an electrician over there and pay money? Like what? Now come to find out, probably about a month later, and I remember I don't know if he knew something, but he directly told me. He said that he said, hey, he goes, just so you know, he goes, they ended up parking their cars on the road and they let me park in the driveway. And I don't know if he was trying to like cue me off or something, but he told me that. I just remember him telling me. I said, oh, okay, cool. And so a month goes by, whatever. I get another phone call. I think this was like maybe a different manager. It could have been the same one. And he goes, hey, and you could tell he's like, I really don't want to have this phone conversation. He goes, here's the problem. He goes, the lady's claiming that you guys dented her door in her car. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, no. I was like, here's the thing. I was like, I already know my business partner told me, I said that they parked their cars on the road. I was like, we weren't even close to this. And obviously this lady's looking for something for free. You know what I mean? And that's the dirty side of the garage door business. There's a lot more I could tell you. You know what I mean? There's just, I remember we had this old man up in the boonies, sweet old man. And it was another one through Lowe's. And this could have been just our own customer, right? These don't really have to be affiliated with Lowe's or anything. But I remember because we get the phone calls, right? And it's like, so we did this one for this old man. We come to his house. He's got a 2-stall separate garage, like a tin garage, real light construction. And I remember he's got an old like Dodge Dakota sitting there. And he's like, so we go in, the one stall is empty, of course, right? But the one that he wants to open has got the Dodge Dakota sitting there. And we're like, does it run? Oh, no, it don't run, but you guys can climb in the back of it, and just install the garage door opener right there. And when I get it running, then I'll have a garage door. Okay. It seemed about right because, you think about it, it's like the Dodge Dakota is like the perfect height. I mean, we had to crouch a little bit, it's only a 7-foot tall door, but it was like, oh, all right, cool. At least it's just, no topper or anything. We'll just step in the back of the truck. And since I was there, and I'm a very honest guy. Like I'm not afraid to admit that I did something wrong. And so and the time was like, it was like 6 months later. You know what I mean? It wasn't like the next day or I was there. I know I didn't hear no taillight crunch. And the old boy was claiming that we broke his taillight. And I thought, oh man, I almost kind of wish it was that we did it and we could just resolve it between us. But I know we didn't. And I know it's been so long. And the problem, this is why I'm always telling you guys. That I'm like, as contractors, you're the last one there. So since you're the last one there, if the drain quits working or their sewer backs up, it's your fault. It's your fault. Absolutely everything. My house has started leaking yesterday. It's your fault. That garage door slammed. I heard it. It's your fault. That's just how it goes. And I'll kind of teach you one little thing here. When I did do the Lowe's, there was one thing that always really stuck with me. I've carried it all through my life in a sense. Your first 10 minutes with a customer are the most important. Your last 10 minutes with a customer are very important as well. And what the point is that when you get there, you're going to explain to the customer, what are you going to do? Expectations. What do you want your keypad number to be? What do you want for the settings? Where would you like your wall button? Where would you like your keypad? On the left side? Normally, when you get out of a driver's door, it's kind of right there type of thing. Or would you like it over here out of the elements? The 10 minutes to spend with them. And I know it's tough. I've been there. You're hustling. You got three more installs to do. You're just like, I've done this a million times. Please just get out of the way and let me go. But those 10 minutes can save you so much grief. Afterwards, one thing that always was a big thing with me that I really didn't want to get a phone call for was customers always with a photo eyes. Because if you had an old opener that didn't have photo eyes, like now you got an opener with photo eyes, they don't understand it. They're going to call you like 2 days later and be like, this darn garage door, the first thing, they're just going to tell you it's not closing. They're not going to say, oh, the light's blinking or it's clicking. It's not closing. You were just here 2 days ago and it's just not working. So I need you to come out as soon as you can, because this is an emergency. And I would explain to the customers the last 10 minutes, I'd go over their keypad. I would literally make them punch in the number. I'd have the door closed. I'd count a few seconds. Can you go ahead and hit the number? And then when you're done, hit the enter or the up and down arrows, whatever you're using. They do it. So I'm psychologically programming their minds. See, all this stuff is like life. Life is a mind game. It's all psychologically. So when they did it, they're automatically going, when I leave and it doesn't work, because it could happen, it could just be bad. They're not going to tell their friend, well, I never tried it. I never tried it while I was here. Make them try it when they're there. So that way their brain goes, well, honey, or Betsy, or whatever they call each other, I did it before he left. It was working. I seen it with my own 2 eyes. My own 2 eyes. I punched in the number. It opened. So do those little steps. Show them about the photo eye. Maybe cross the photo eye while the door is going down. Explain to them. Say, hey, look, see how it's blinking? The only reason it will blink is these photo eyes. Only reason, photo eyes. It's messing up on, and you see how you got a garbage can there? I really wouldn't put my garbage can right there because it's going to get messed up. Those little steps can just save you so much grief. And that's why the first 10 minutes is so important. And the last 10 minutes is so important. So just some little nuggets to think about. You know what I mean? There's just so many things that go into it. And that's why I tell you to start selling cookies on the corner. That's why I tell you to get into the vending business. That's why I tell you to buy doors. Not garage doors, buy doors. Doors that you can rent out. Storage units, whatever doors you want. Apartment complexes, buy the big stuff. It's a lot of work, but then you don't have to do all this little fanatic-y stuff, all these little mind games, because it's amazing how many things you can make quick money. You can make quick money, and you got to make money somehow, right? You got to make cash flow. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But it's like when you start realizing your time, oh my God, I'm only on this planet for so long, and you realize this time that you invest is just insane. It's just insane, and then you're sitting here playing all these little things, like I remember when I was in Lowe's little program, this one guy, Sean, he was actually a good dude. He was smart. And he's like, here's why you put cardboard under your vehicle, or you park on the road. He's like, let's say this customer just had a package deal, right? They got siding done, they got the deck done, and now they got the garage door done. And let's say the garage door was the last one, right, through the day. The car leaves, right? Honey comes home from work, long, hard day of work, right? There's an oil stain on the new driveway. Who's going to be the first? Who was the last one here? Well, I didn't see it earlier, even though they might have just overlooked it because there was a vehicle parked there or whatever. The garage door guy. It was the garage door guy. But see, that psychological game. If you park on the road, which I've done many a times because I've had leaky vehicles, got a little oil leak. I've had the customers, I had a 6.4 diesel, the Power Stroke, not good. That thing was puking out coolant. I remember parking on the road. I was walking down a long driveway, and the customer's like, "You can pull up here," and I'm like, "The hell I am." I was like, "This thing's puking out coolant, but I got to keep driving it right now because it's not in for service." And yeah, I've had my fair shares. So you just gotta look ahead, and it's a how do I say it? Customers are kind of like, sometimes they're clueless. Not to be insulting, but they need direction. They need leadership. They need guidance. You know, one thing I always used to do when I used to go out and do a lot of the direct sales, when I talk to customers, on garage doors, I like to kind of get through the rhetoric. I would tell them, I say, I walk up, because sometimes you get those houses that you're like, you don't know if they just bought this and they're going to live here, or if it's like, this is kind of a flip house, or is this going to be a rental, or, and that was always kind of the first thing I always said, I just wanted to kind of get rid of the bull crap. So I'd always tell them, I say, what are you doing with this place? You going to stay here forever? Is this your lifelong house? Or, and that always changed my book in my head. So if they were like, no, I plan on staying here, I'd be like, okay, well, hey, let's go with a nice sandwich store, steel back, you know what I mean? Something easy to clean. So one day when you're in here washing the dog or washing a car, or your car you got dual exhaust and it spits out all over the door, you can at least somewhat clean it, you know? Like, let's not do vinyl back, you know what I mean? But if it was like, we're just flipping it, and I'd be like, well, it's attached. Hey, let's put a vinyl, it'll save you a few $100, and honestly, with vinyl doors, I look at it like, I almost rather charge the same price, because vinyl doors always come damaged. You know what I mean? They always got holes in them. I remember we had a customer one time, he peeled the sticker off. And it wasn't a good spot too, right? It was right where you put the sticker. And he peeled the sticker off, and he found there was a dent. Not saying that's right, but it was just, we covered it up, and he calls up, somebody covered this. Then we had to put panels in there. And those things are a nightmare. Like, I ended up like breaking, like I brung a few extra. And of course, it was one of those ones where we were too far away. And I remember I'm trying to like get them in there, and they're like snapping, and I'm like trying to shave them. And I'm like, are these even the right ones? Like, do they send us the right ones? We bought it from this door company, and we got the same, oh man, this is yeah, that's right. Have to tell a customer sorry, and one thing I've learned over the years is it's just, it's so much easier to just walk away sooner than later. If you already have that pit or that gut feeling that this isn't going to work out, something's not vibing. You know what I mean? Something's not vibing here. Just walk away. Don't even waste your time. I can't tell you. I've done it way too many times. Way too many times, where I'm like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can be the Superman. I can fix this. I can get this. I can do it for this. Oh, the other guy, he said he'd do it for that. I can do it for $100 less. And I tell you what, the one I remember that burned me really bad is, I had a guy one time. I finally called him back or something, and he tells me, oh, their service call is whatever, $85. And I'm like, ours are 65. And he's like, oh, then, and I could tell instantly the guy was just like, oh, save a buck. And I went out there, and I remember the garage was crooked, and I remember the jams are all rotten. And I remember just sitting on my knees, like doing something with the photo eyes or the track. I can't remember what it was, but this place it was the ghetto. It smelled like dog pee. And I'm just sitting there going, why I'm like, got sweat running down my face when my phone's ringing with two other customers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are probably better customers. They're in a better, and here I am. I do it for 65 instead of 85. Should have let the other guy had it. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of things I've learned how to pre-qualify customers. That's amazing. I don't run into situations much anymore. And when they're almost like a baseball to the face. It ain't like a nice, pleasant woman slapping you. It's like a baseball, like bam. And I'm like, holy crap, man. Wow. You obviously were going to try to kill me, And so it's just like, I've learned to pre-qualify a lot over the phone. And you get so good on the phone that you can almost hear the tone And it's like, if people don't slow down and tell you what you, and like I said, nowadays, you guys, everybody's got it so great. It's amazing because everybody loves just, oh, taking pictures. Look what I ate tonight. Look what I did. Look what this vacation. Take a picture. Can you take a few pictures for me? And just slow down. And it's like, if they won't work with you, then they're probably not even a good customer. Because they don't have no clue, they have no understanding. Not always the case. And it depends how hungry you are. If you ain't got nothing to eat, well, yeah, you gotta go get some scraps, man. But if you're like pounding out things and you're full, I wouldn't even like, don't even bother, man. Just move on. But pictures. I don't know what it is. What do they say? Pictures are worth 1,000 words or something like that. But pictures. I can tell instantly. Like, I remember the secretary a while back, maybe about a year ago or so. She's like, "There's this guy, and I know the area already is kind of rough." So in my head, she's telling me where it's at, and I'm going, "Okay, there's like no new buildings or anything over there. There's people don't put a lot of money into stuff over there." And she's like, "Boy, he's got 2 doors, and he might have a low headroom situation." And she's like, and I'm like, "Mm-hmm, mm-hmm," and I'm like, "Can you have him give me some pictures?" "Oh, yep, I can do that." She starts firing pictures to me, and I'm like, "Oh, heck no." We're talking brick that's all like, it's like crumbling. It's got cracks in it. I'm like, nope, not even interested. Not even interested. And she's like, "Yeah, he already kind of said he already got some other prices." Yep, exactly. It sounds like he should go use those other prices because he's looking for the lowest. And I don't need to play that game right now. You know what I mean? And these pictures, and she's like, "Yeah, like I didn't even realize how bad it was until I started seeing these pictures. I think you're right. This one we should probably just let it go." And I'm like, "You think?" Like, absolutely. And it's just amazing to me how much pictures, because I remember this old man one time, he was a military guy I used to work with, and he always told me, he would tell me, he goes, "You can tell a lot by somebody's front door." Man, isn't that the truth? You can tell a lot by somebody's front door. You can tell a lot by somebody's yard. You can tell a lot by somebody's garage door. And so when you get a picture, especially when it's just the outside, how many of you ever have a picture and you see like it's got the storage units, above it, the racks above the garage door, and you're like, "Oh my gosh," and they're just packed full of kids' toys, and they're packed full of kayak, and just everything you can. They're one slip away from everything just falling from the sky, you know. The pictures are just huge, man. Just to slow down and say, "Can you send me some pictures?" And to document it. That's just so helpful because it just slows everything down, and you're playing ball with them, right? You're seeing, are they going to work with you, or they're going to, and you're almost trying to play detective. You're almost trying to investigate them. Like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? What are you going to say? Because when they start firing these things off, well, I already got, prices, or, well, I need somebody out here, this or that. Like, there's just some kind of reason with them that we need to work together. I want to solve your problem, but I also want the technician to come out, and I want the technician to be aware of what they're getting into, because the more aware they are, the more they can fix the problem. I had a water softener break, and I felt bad because I even asked the guy, the technician, I said, "Hey man," I said, "we should have probably sent you some pictures." And he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "but by what the description was, I kind of had a clue, and like, we really don't have any, like, hardly any more of these, but we have a few." A guy went out back and tore one apart, and I'm thinking, right there, man. I'm like, "We should have sent you some pictures." But your manager or whoever should have vetted it. Even a technician could have called beforehand and said, "Hey, I'm still at the shop. I'm got you planned." And I understand his day's busy, so it might not be. But I was just like, dang, I was like, we should have sent you some pictures, because think about it. I look at it from the consumer side of it. Now this guy comes, right? The guy shows up anyways. It was already like, I think he was 2 or 3 hours late from what the appointment was, which I didn't understand that. But he shows up. It's like, he's like fixing it. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, this would be a real inconvenience if he didn't have the right parts. He would have looked at it and said, well, we're going to have to reschedule it, because it's like, all right, well, we already scheduled the window, and now you're 2 or 3 hours late from our window. And I even went and left and was doing some other errands. And then it's like, I get the phone call, "Hey, the guys, Of course he is. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you know, and you go with a smile on your face. But, you know, it's just stuff to think about. So a little bit of life advice in here. But I don't think you guys, I'll see, does any of you guys have any other questions about stuff? I know a lot of, you know, kind of after the video goes up, you guys kind of jump in there in the comments. And like I said, you guys are always welcome to email me. I love the emails. And just remember, I always try to put them in the description. So do it as, I do the Daveadubson. I think there's some people, honestly, I got some older videos that I feel really bad because I went into some and some people are sending me a few pictures of my old email. I just seen it the other day and I was like, sorry. I was like, you got to go with my new email, which is the daveadubson@gmail, you know, because the other one got foobarred somehow and they wanted to suck me a bunch of money and I said no. And so I started another one, but you can always email me. Like I said, try not to contact that building or this business back here because they get, you know, all grumpy butts, you know what I mean? Not really. They do really good, but I always know when it's the one. It says, do not reply by Miss B. I love Miss B. And so, but you can always, like I said, just shoot me an email. You can always jump on and do the comments. I do look at them. And then another thing with Zach and Colton and Mr. What do we got? John. I'm horrible with names. You guys can always too if you need to. If you ever need really further assistance, you know, I'm a little bit. I try to be selective because the thing is, if who is it? Josh. I think Josh knows now that he can't call me. I don't ever answer my phone because I either get solicitation. It's. I got it now where people have to text me and basically make an appointment because I'm always so busy, and so it's like I have to block a time because either Lord only knows what I'm doing. I could be running a skister. Sometimes I'm in meetings. Sometimes I'm at closings. Sometimes I'm at the bank. I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm driving and I don't want to be doing that while I'm driving. So I always let people, I'm like, hey, just text me and then I'll reply to you, you know? So price shoppers don't value my time. Isn't that the truth? Anytime I have given a discount, there is always more expected for less. Boy, that's some good advice. I like that. My prices are what they are because I use the best parts and do the job correct. Boy, isn't that the... I remember, you know, and this is like, so we got a thing. I think it's kind of crummy. You guys got your own opinions on it. But I learned this from a car repair place down the road from our shop. But, and honestly, I was doing it too, right? So what was happening is people bring their cars in for repair. And what would happen is they'd go through the car and they'd do a price, you know, like, okay, it needs ball joints, it needs this, it needs this. And so people would come in, they get their car back, right? And they go, okay, well, I'll think about it and get back. Well, they ended up, you know, they wouldn't come back. And so they were getting sick of it. So they started charging like $30, you know, for this piece of paper. And so I remember they ended up, I was watching Mr. Police Guy. He might come over and say hi to me. But anyways, they ended up, they charged $30. And I thought, hey, that's fair, right? I give them $30 because I had to go. I was like, the stuff they're doing and quote and stuff, I was like, I can't afford this. So, you know, I'd take it. I'd basically go to AutoZone like probably the rest of the people were doing. And it's like, hey, I need this. And this weekend, I guess, yeah, I know what I'm going to be doing. So I remember I had this lady called and she's like, I need somebody to come out and give me a price. I said, okay. I said, well, here's the thing. I said, if we come out there, and she says, I need it for, and she's already queuing me off, right? She goes, I need it for insurance. And I said, okay. I said, well, here's the thing. I said, if we come out there and give you a written statement price, I said, you know, you're looking at, I don't know if I charge like $30 or $35 for the paper. Oh, she goes, that's ridiculous. She goes, I thought it says here, she goes, your estimates are free. And I said, well, here is the thing. I said, our estimates are free. I said, by phone. And I said, if you want a written estimate, I said, it's $35. Sorry, that cop was cruising by. I wanted to not get too crazy because he has stopped in here before. You should know me by now. I know what he is. He's 262 or yeah, 226. That's what his number is. Good dude, and always keeping an eye on the place. So, anyways, and she's just like, oh, she goes. I said, but here's the thing. I know how this is going to work. I know how this is going to work. I'm going to give her the price, and she's going to take that money, which I think is crummy, right? She'll get the insurance money and she won't fix it. I always thought that's a bummer. I mean, I get why they do it, because an insurance company, like, they don't want to deal with the crap, right? They don't want to give it to somebody, and the lady's like calling and saying, no, I didn't want them to do it. I wanted this. And they're like, fine, here's the money. Figure out what you want to do with it. But I always thought it was crummy, because when it came to insurance, sometimes, not always, it turns into where they're like, you know what I mean? Like, the money doesn't come directly to you. And I've had it where the insurance companies also try to still talk you down in price. And it just gets to be a waste of time, honestly, sometimes. And so, yeah, you got to do it. But that's why I told her, I said, if you want a price over the phone, I said, that is free. I said, but a written estimate, that's not free, because I got to come out there. I got to measure it. I got my time. I got 15, I got 20 minutes, I got 30, I got 2 hours wrapped up in this, and I don't get paid. The stinking attorney's got it figured out, but we don't. We don't. We just go do free stuff. Well, I'm supposed to get the job. Yeah, okay. Whatever. You know what I mean? I don't really like to operate that way. I like to I look at it like I'm going out there, I'm going to collect half down. That's just how I roll. You know what I mean? But that's taken whatever, 16 plus years to get to that point where, you always got this Rolodex of customers. It takes a super long time. People know where you're, and, for us, we're lucky, because, we're lucky. We're in a populated area. We're on a main road. We're blessed to have a physical location, and that's not always like super key, right? But I wanted to do these layers in business, that it was like, I always wanted it so it was like, these people have nothing to, like, well, you're just kind of a trunk slammer, and you might not be here next month. Where it's like, where do you think that? Do you not see the building? Do you not see the trucks? Do you not see that we got secretaries? Because, that's always the fun one, right? They're always telling you, I talked to your secretary. Is that your wife? And you're like, no, that's not my wife. She kind of is my wife. She's my business wife. I got a couple business wives, all right? What you got? You got a problem with that, huh? What's your problem, huh? You got something against that? But it's just like, I love all the women in my life. They do things that I can't do. There's no doubt about it. And let's just say God bless them. And, but us men, we do some things too. Got the muscles. And, so anyways, I rambled on too long. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I hope you learned something. It's been fun hanging out with you guys. Sky, oh, what did I put on here? Sky and all that. Rich, you're always there for me, brother. Appreciate it. Anybody else on here? Mark, I seen the one came on here. I don't know how to say it. Bat Rivet. I think I said that high. So, but yeah. Thanks, Rich. I hope you guys have a good night. And, a weekly, what do you say? If we're not willing to pay a certain, yeah, walk away, man. That's right. I want to get the money. I want to feel the money exchange. Even if it's like $10, I just want to know you're credible. You got some money. They're not just like, I just want a price. I'm just curious. I'm just sitting here all day. I'm just curious. So, all right. I'm out. See you guys.